What's up, everybody? I'm Justin Maytack here with Sabrina, the Teenage People.
Hello!
And we are Room 51, where we talk all things board gaming. So today, I am joined here by Sabrina, who is now joined by Sabrina, the Teenage People, and she is a member of Team Room 51, so it's a little odd to call her a guest, but she is kind of the guest today. And we have a little special announcement, though, about what she'll be doing with Room 51 at the end of this episode. But first, we're going to be doing a Roll for Thought, which is a segment where here at Room 51, we discuss anything and everything in the board gaming universe that we want to talk about. So today we're talking about board gaming in schools, right?
Yes, we are.
All right, and since you are kind of the guest, you're going to be starting us off.
Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So I love this topic because I am a future educator. I'm currently working on my degree, and I currently work with children right now. And I love it. And I know that we've talked about how children learn through playing all the time. And board games is playing. And so it's really important that we include them in the classrooms because, well, I just have a whole bunch of opinions about how classrooms are currently and how I feel like they should be and how those are two very drastically different things.
Right.
And they're just this monotonous, like very memorization kind of routine in the classroom, or this very like, I have to teach by the state standard for these tests, and these kids have to know these answers for these reasons, or whatever. I'm sure lots of teachers are like that. Lots of teachers are underpaid. Lots of teachers do not have the funding for board games for their classrooms. But despite all of these challenges, we're here to talk about why it's important to include them, because I feel like it would create a huge difference in our children's education. And children, as cliche as it is, they are the future.
All right, awesome. So funding is something that hit my mind because there's constant talks about, teachers having to get supplies and everything. This would just be an additional cost, right?
Yes.
But would you say in the long run it's worth it the way like art supplies are worth it and, things like that? Anything else that teachers are already getting now, would you say that board games is a worthy expense for that?
I absolutely do, not just because I play board games.
That's for a little biased.
I guess so, but there's definitely ways to mitigate costs, because I was thinking about this. Most, if not all, schools have libraries. So if you can get a school library collection of games, and the teachers can rotate them out, so it's not like every teacher for themselves, right? They have this set of supplies and tools available to them, and these games are really important because besides teaching strategies and math and things that adults value as important, it's just teaching also to get along, how to win well, how to lose well. It's just this community, and especially with co-op games for children, we really want to instill in children a collectivist mind, right? We don't want to keep perpetrating this individualism that is created in classrooms, like Johnny got 100, right? Why isn't everyone else doing that, right? It's very competitive. It's very you have to all be the best at all times. And with different methods of teaching, including games and art and projects where students work collaboratively, it will help foster this idea of collectivism. We're all in this together. We're all in it for this planet. We're all in it for the economy. We're all in it for society to work. And that's really important too.
That's interesting because it kind of triggered my mind on the thought of how, so the Dice Tower has come out with a multiple top 10 lists on top 10 things I hate in gaming, or things that essentially are not supposed to do in board gaming, right? And it kind of, a lot of it goes into board gaming etiquette, because board gaming is the social experience. Even though we're playing a game together, whether against each other or not, we're playing the game together, and it's a social experience. And a lot of people in the hobby have a pretty good mindset of working together to make it that we're all having fun. And I mean, in the hobby, for example, a lot of people don't like take that games because of just the overt meanness in there, and it kind of takes away the fun from somebody. I think that's a really interesting thing to start teaching children at a young age. I don't know why I put such an emphasis on children there, but I actually do find that interesting. And I also like that idea of the having a library within the school and having the board games being stored there that the teachers can take out. Makes me also want to like donate to a local school instead of the local library. So that's pretty cool. Okay. And, yeah, I'm sorry.
Something you mentioned is like, you know, gamers' complaints is usually about other gamers, right? Like they were, you know, quarterbacking, right? They were trying to tell everyone what to do or whatever, like, or this other etiquette that you mentioned. And that's really important because people complain about it in our hobby, about these adults, you know, but it's not like they were sat down at a young age and were like, hey, we're going to play a game together. We have to work together, but like, don't tell people what to do. Don't be a bossy. Like, we have to work together and like talk it out. And it's not like something taught in schools. It's not really taught in colleges. Like, they kind of just, some people have that expectation that people should act that way and others do not. And it's from education. It's from their parents, from education. And so it's really important to have that in the classroom as well.
Yeah, that actually is interesting. It reminds me of group projects. And a lot of times in college, I would have a group project with 5 other kids that I didn't know until we were assigned as a group together and never knew again after that group project. And we all had to work together for a personal goal. It was about our personal grade, but we had to work together as a group. I think that starting to have that practice at a younger age would be nicer, and I think that board gaming is a really nice way to showcase that. Because I know, at least for me, until college, I knew everybody in my class. So whenever I had a group project, I knew those kids already. College came, and I was working with, you know, the kids I didn't want to do anything, the kids I wanted to tell everybody what to do, the kids I wanted to tell everybody what to do, but they didn't want to do anything themselves. And you start to kind of see that sometimes in board gaming, like you said, quarterbacking, things like that. These are kind of, there's a lot of transferable skill sets, right, from board gaming into just other pieces of education and into the real world. Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is why I think it's really important. And when I hopefully have my own classroom in the future, I want to incorporate as many games as I possibly can while still making it manageable, because you do not want a room of 30. In New York City, it's like 30, 40 kids, right? Just going crazy because there's a bunch of games out, right? So I'm not saying throw order out the window, right?
Yeah.
But we need like other options for kids to learn, right? It's just not reading a textbook anymore. Kids are like put in front of screens now in classrooms with smart boards and whatever, and they show videos and all these things where kids don't really get to be hands-on, and that is like the most valuable education, is hands-on learning. That's what sticks with them if they get to do it, which is why like group projects is awesome. But if you give group projects that are like unreasonable for these kids, it's really going to be their parents doing it. So I'm not telling teachers what to do, but right, so you have to manage your expectations too, right? And you have to manage your expectations when you're introducing games into the classroom, because you can't be pulling these games that are like hobby games, even if they're age appropriate, if they've never seen anything like that before. So you really have to start kind of basic, and I feel like, especially with the youngers, the olders you can kind of throw them in a little bit faster, but I'm interested in the younger grades, and you have to start off with the basics, and we're going to start off with simple card games that have numbers, because adding in numbers is really important for them.
Right. Yeah, and that brought up a few interesting points that I was thinking about. So first of all, I know for me, I'm a learning by doing kind of guy, and I've always had been. First of all, happened, whatever. You're the educator. And so, I don't know if learning by doing is an educational term at all.
Kinesthetic learning.
All right, so would you say that board gaming counts as that term you just used?
Kinesthetic learning. Yes, I do. It just, you have to make sure that it's engaging enough for your audience, right? For any any movie, any book, any game, you have to make sure that your audience is engaged. So it's like the topic or like the game strategy is engaging to them.
Okay.
If it's not engaging and it's boring and they're just sitting through this while like half of the rest of the class is actually playing, they're not going to learn, right? So you need options in the classroom. You need variability as well.
And that kind of brings me to my second question that you you did bring up is a big complaint by teachers and just by, I think, people in general within any realm of education is class size.
Mm-hmm.
So class size is a big complaint, like you said, here in New York City. It's super common to have classrooms with 40, 45 kids sometimes. How does that play in? How much does that affect using board gaming in the classroom when you're stuck like that?
It will definitely be more limiting in your options, I feel, but I've tried to think about it just for fun because I don't have a classroom yet, right? And kids have choice time in the classroom, so if they finish their work, they have choice, they have something. So if you have like really quick solo kind of like memory games or like dexterity games, things that are kind of quiet and they can do on their own at their desk, and they choose to do that, that's classroom management right there, because you don't have a kid slacking off, distracting other kids. When they finish their work, they have something to do. They have something that they want to do, that they're engaged in. And the best thing I've ever learned in my professional career, I guess, is that the classroom management is really engagement management. You want to engage them as long as possible. Like, and if you can't physically do it, you need to provide tools that will engage them.
I guess I should have probably mentioned this earlier on in the video, but I also work with kids. I'm an after-school instructor for coding. So, I mean, the longest I've ever had to spend with kids and trying to engage them is 2 hours with 5-year-olds, which, I mean, is just the worst 2 hours of my week. It's something that I start off enjoying, but keeping kids engaged for, especially at like 5, 6, for a full 2 hours on this one topic also is really exhausting for me because of just how exhausting it is for them. I think that in my head, so since I do coding, we're always on like iPads with these kids doing coding. It'd be so cool if like the first hour was on iPads and then the second hour was spent playing different like coding games with them, you know, like the coding board game with them. And I know those exist, and it might be something that honestly one day I pitched to my boss. But something like that to me sounds like it would really help in my engagement management. And that's just of 2 hours, not the 6-7 hour routine. So
that's sort of like, I know the solitaire chess kind of thing where it's like the chessboard is laid out and you kind of have to like solve how to do it in one move, right?
Oh, it's like puzzles.
They're like puzzles. And I was just thinking on the spot, that's what you could do for like coding and puzzles and lots of things that you don't think are board games are actually like board game adjacent or board game cousins, really. Like solitaire puzzles are just games that you're doing by yourself, right? They're essentially board games just printed out or on a computer screen instead. So
they just need to make the 50 puzzles into like a book and create really short snippets behind the story for each one, and then it's a board game. And it's a massive revolutionary solo game like that. Yeah, okay, that's a really good point. And that actually then also brings us to the big announcement, I guess, is the segment that Sabrina, the teenage meeple, is going to be doing here. So why don't you tell a little about, if I can speak, a little bit about this segment you're going to be doing on Room 51.
Yes, so this segment that I had magically come up with because I think about these things late at night. I have my board game collection, and I have games, and I have a future classroom that's awaiting for me at some point in my life. And so I was thinking, how do I use these tools that I already have for my future classroom? Because I do think it's so important for kids to be familiar with games and be able to play them in the classroom. So I am going to be doing a segment where I showcase a game and a few ways to use it in like a lesson plan. So it's not always gonna be like, oh, play this game because it ties. Don't play Seven Wonders because it ties to Civ. It's not gonna be like that fully. It's gonna be like, oh, you have game A and you could create a literacy lesson, a math lesson, a geography lesson. Like you could create all these lessons from this game. And I'm gonna explain how I do it. The age range is gonna depend on the game, on the week, so we'll see. And that's as far as I've gotten with it so far.
Super awesome. Yeah, we've been trying to come up with a name. Name is pending. There's been a lot of discussion amongst Room 51 on what the name could be, but it ultimately is going to come down to what she likes the most. I'm super excited for it. I'm sure you're super excited for it.
Yes.
So definitely check that out. We are going to be pumping that up once it comes out. And until then, you can join in on the discussion by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at This Is Room 51. You can watch us play board games live at Room 51 Live.
On Twitch.
On Twitch, yeah, sorry. At Room 51 Live. And you're also able to, leave in your comments down below. So any games that you think are really fitting for the classroom or any other reasons why you think board gaming should be brought to the classroom, or maybe some reasons you think it actually shouldn't be. We'd love to hear it. And if you'd like to get updates on when Room 51 episodes come out, hit that subscribe button. And until then, you've been listening to Room 51.